Happy Women's History Month. We have a couple days left. Yes. I know it is Women's History Month because a man told me. I wish that wasn't how that story went, but it's true. It is so true. I've been thinking a lot about like the kind of woman I am, and what I finally landed on is that I am the kind of woman who is very good at declining drugs at parties. Offer me Coke at a party and you'll see what I mean. You will walk away from that transaction feeling like I'm the one who has the problem. And that is how I want it, you guys. That is how I want it all the time. I had a weird start to my week. I had something that was like, took me on an emotional journey. I was driving and I came up and there was this young guy in this big ass truck and he was blocking like all the lanes of traffic laterally with his car, and it made me so furious. I was like so mad, and then as I got closer I realized he was doing it so that an elderly woman in a walker could cross the street safely. Yeah. And I have been chasing that emotional high all fucking week. I know I will never feel anything as real as that moment when I burst into tears in my Prius. Like, that is what I know. That man was an angel. He was a true angel. Speaking of angel men, I think about Michael B. Jordan a lot. Because I'm a human woman, and we all should be. Something I think is really cool about him is that he grew up in the shadow of an equally famous Michael Jordan. Yeah. Some would say like even more so. But he, in his own right, became very successful and very famous, which I find like really inspiring, because I dated a guy in college named Tim Allen, and he was crushed under the weight of that name. He was crushed. Truly, he was. I've spent many, many years dating, well over half my life, and if you are wondering how old that makes me, I will tell you that I am old enough that I have to color my hair, but not so old that when I sneeze, I piss myself. It's what I like to call the sweet spot of being a woman. I've asked out my fair share of dudes. It has oftentimes backfired. I remember this one time, I asked out this bartender who was very cute, but I didn't know very well. We went on this date, and on this date, I learned his favorite movie in the world was Bad Boys 2. Yeah. That's not even the best Bad Boys movie. And there's only 2 to choose from. I honestly thought there were more, because Bad Boys 2 came out in 2003, but there hasn't been. There is no Bad Boys 3. However, there is currently, as I am speaking now, 2 Bad Boys movies in production right now. Bad Boys 4 and Bad Boys for Life. So it's kind of like when you try to print a document, but nothing comes out, and then 16 years later you get 2 Bad Boys movies, well past when you actually needed one. Yeah, that man really likes Bad Boys. I mean, it's a great franchise, right? We love it, we love it. I have dated a long time, but I've actually never been on a dating app. And it's not a brag, it's really just a circumstance, because I have been a comic for 12 years, so for me, dating was just going to parties and finding the guy who was doing the least amount of bits. Yeah, it's a rarity for those of you who aren't comics. And then we would share a warm beer, and we would go back to my house and have moderate sex. And this would continue for 3 to 4 months until another girl got added to his improv team, so that there were 2 girls on his improv team. And then the temptation was too great, and then he would dump me. And so that's how it was. During this time, my dad was really invested in my romantic life. He was offering up a lot of suggestions. He told me, he's like, Liz, you should date a scientist. And I was like, Dad, I don't know any scientists. And he's like, so you should go to a science fair. And I was like, is that where you think scientists are? Because that's where children are. And he's like, all right, smart aleck, I know that, but like, who's judging the science fairs? And I was like, teachers who don't want to be there. He has very high expectations of our public school system, truly. He's a weird guy. his two favorite things in life are Irish pubs and dramatically cutting people out of his life forever. So he moved to the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and he always likes to tell me how he never has to lock his doors. And I'm like, weird flex, Dad, like really weird flex. Is this how we're doing it? Because I live in a place where 3 of my cats haven't been carried off by owls. And I think that's my time. Thanks so much, guys. I'm Liz Royce.